Well, good morning. I'm Pastor Les Chemist. Welcome to Cruisin' a Narrow Road. Little verse of scripture for you today. Isaiah 52:7 says, "How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bringeth good tidings." In Romans chapter 10:15, part of this verse is also quoted in the New Testament, and it says, "How shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things." Man, your feet are important. And here it says, those who preach the gospel have beautiful feet. The sentiment isn't so much about the feet themselves being beautiful, and quite frankly, you don't want to see mine. Okay, they're not very beautiful. But the sentiment is, it's a good thing, and it's a wonderful thing when somebody will take the good news of the salvation of Jesus Christ to the world, and it's a beautiful thing to see that happen. The Bible talks about protecting the feet as well in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 15. It says, when it refers to the armor of God and going and fighting the battle against sin and the devil, it talks about having your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Well, what does that mean? It means having your feet protected as you go to take the gospel, because you want to guard those beautiful feet. So feet are foundational, man. Your feet are a foundation of the rest of your body. If your feet are not in good shape, you've got problems. Last year, I had some real problems with what's called plantar fasciitis, where the tendons and the connective tissue in my feet were just inflamed. And there were times when every step just hurt, was incredibly painful. And over time, praise God, that has changed, that has gotten better. And I don't have that as much as I did. And I thank the Lord for that. But man, it made me think about how important your feet are to be able to walk around and to do, as a firefighter, as a hunter, as a motorcycle rider. My feet are critical to what I do. I have to stand in the pulpit on Sundays. I have to be able to walk, to go, to do. And so my feet are very important, and they, all of our feet are important. I have friends who have lost limbs, have lost legs, lost feet, lost toes, for various health reasons, various issues. And you realize when you're with them, alongside them, for the struggles they face, dealing with the loss of the limb, as well as adjusting to prosthetic legs and so on. You realize just how important your feet are. Comfort is also an issue. If your feet aren't comfortable, if you don't have comfortable shoes on, it can mess up a lot. It upsets the comfort and rhythm of your ride, for example, on your motorcycle. If your feet are not comfortable, or if they're not dry, man, it's a distraction. It makes things miserable. So your feet are vital. And so, as you can imagine, we're going to be talking about boots here today. What are some considerations with boots? Boots, there's so many out there. I've done some shopping for boots. I'm going to show you some boots here in a minute. I've done a lot of looking around for boots. My wife has done a lot of looking around for boots. And there's a lot of different considerations that you need to bring into the mix when you're considering what type of boots you need for on a motorcycle. What's the type of bike you're going to be riding? Are you going to be riding a dirt bike off-road? Are you going to be riding an adventure bike where it's going to be a mix of on and off-road? Are you going to be riding strictly cruisers? Are you going to be, big touring bikes? What are you going to be riding? Where are you going to be riding? Are you going to be riding on pavement? Are you going to be riding in dirt? Are you going to be riding gravel roads? All these things need to come into play as you consider what boots to buy. The standard, I believe, for safety here in Newfoundland is you have to go take your test. You have to have a pair of leather boots that are over the ankle and fasten well. They need to be secure on your foot. And that's about it. But there's so many different considerations with armor and waterproofing and different things that, the height of your boots. They're all different. They need to be considered. So And one other thing that people don't tend to talk about, I've not heard a lot about this, is off-bike considerations for the footwear you've got. You know, we ride, but for us, you know, for Rebecca and I, every hour, hour and a half, we're stopping. We get off, stretch our legs, you know, stop for the bathroom, stop for a bite to eat. You know, we're getting off and then there's times when we're touring that we like to stop, you know, go see a waterfall, and it's a little bit of a hike in. We stopped at a place last year and decided not to go into not to walk into the waterfall, even though it was only probably 300 or 400 meters in, 400 or 500 meters maybe. It wasn't that awful far, but the boots we had on were just not going to be conducive to hiking a small trail to get in there. Even though it wasn't particularly rough, it was still not an improved trail. It wasn't paved. It wasn't anything like that. So we chose not to because of the footwear we had on. So off-bike considerations are something too. Are the boots going to be comfortable walking around in when, you know, when you walk into stores and stuff like that? For you southern riders stopping at Buc-ee's, man, you better have a good pair of hiking shoes to go into a Buc-ee's. That's going to be a long walk, right? But, you know, these are just things to think about when you're picking a pair of boots. For me, I have two bikes. For those of you new to the channel, I have a 2009 Suzuki C50 Boulevard. That's an 800 cruiser. That's their V-twin, Suzuki's V-twin. That's been a staple for them for many, many years. Before it was the C50, it was the old Volusia, and that, you know, that's been redone into the C50 back in 07, 08, something like that. So I have one of those that has footboards on it for the rider. Okay, the rear passenger would have foot pegs. Makes a difference. So for that, I have a couple of different pair of boots that I wear that I like. The first pair is a traditional biker boot. This is a solid leather boot with a thick rubber sole on it, a bit of a heel, as you can see. You know, there's a bit of a heel there. Just more of a traditional biker style boot. And it works well on the cruiser. I like wearing these boots. It's comfortable. When I put my foot down on the ground, it's very firmly planted. There's really good grip on the soles. They're they have a good tread on them. They're excellent. They are just a cheap budget boot. There's not, I've never even heard of the name for them. They're 5-star. So 5-star boots. I don't know whether that's just cheap stuff or what, but they were not a top quality boot. And to make them comfortable, I had to buy a pair of insoles to change the structure inside to make them a little better. But I got them for cheap. I think I bought them for $60 from a friend of mine, and they weren't, you know, they were pretty good. They've done the job, and I've traveled a good bit in them, and they do the job. On the cruiser, they're great. I also have a Suzuki V-Strom DL1000. It's an older bike. It's I think it's the first or second year it was out, 2003, and that bike is more of an adventure style. Personally, I would put it between adventure and sport touring, but it was considered a probe into the adventure market. And these boots do not work well on this. I do not like riding my V-Strom with these boots on. Why? Because they're so thick, the soles are heavy, the toe is high and it's stiff, and the controls are a lot closer to your feet. You know, you got your foot peg and your shifter right there, and your brake on the other side. These boots are a bit too big and clumsy on that bike, and I find it just nuisance and difficult to ride with those boots on the V-Strom. So I don't wear these in the V-Strom. I wear these on the C50 only. Talking about the V-Strom, what do I wear on it? Well, when I went to Labrador 2 years ago, and you can see the video for that, there's I think 4 videos on that trip, we were going to be doing a mix of paved roads and gravel roads. Nothing serious off-road, but gravel roads. And we ended up riding for, I think, man, it was probably somewhere north of 400, maybe even 500 kilometers on gravel roads. So, you know, we did a good bit. I wanted something a little bit better. So for that purpose, so I bought a pair of these boots. They're made by First Gear. And they are more of an adventure boot. They're not a full off-road boot, a motocross boot, but they do have some of the features of that. They have some armor here on the shin and so on. They are a little more protective, but they are a little more flexible, unlike a motocross boot. They do have the buckles and so on that are work. They look a little flimsy, but they are pretty good. These are made by First Gear, and they're a little more budget boot, but I have found them super, super comfortable. That trip, I put on 5,500 kilometers on that whole trip. And I wore these the entire way, and they were super comfortable. Never had an issue with them at all. Just loved them. They were really, really good. I won't say they're waterproof, though they are. I do say that. From my experience, no boots are 100% waterproof. None of these boots, Gore-Tex, anything, are 100% waterproof. When you get in the torrential rains that I rode in on that trip, nothing's going to keep you dry. Okay, and these did soak in during that heavy, heavy rains that we rode through for several hours. But when it's just light rain, no, not a problem. They are waterproof for that. Very good pair of boots. Are they any good for off the bike? Yes, they are. These have a decent sole, and they are far more comfortable. The sole of them is more like a shoe, and there's not a big heel to them, just a little bit of a heel. Nice for just getting a grip on the foot peg, but they are not bad for walking in. Now, would I want to hike, 5 kilometers up a mountain trail? No, but they are not bad for walking around. I have found these very, very comfortable. Incidentally, I bought these from Fortnine, Canada. Excellent store. I've bought a number of pair of boots through Fortnine. Rebecca and I bought a number of things, a number of articles of riding gear from Fortnine. You get some good prices. Watch the sales; they're really good. I am not sponsored by them at all. I just like their gear, like their service is excellent. Really like Fortnine, and I bought these through them. The last pair of boots that I'm going to show you is a touring boot that I have. These are brand new. Now, I've had touring boots before. I had a pair of Alpine Star boots, and I wore them for a number of years. I wore those on my trip around the Cabot Trail in Nova Scotia with Spence a few years ago. You can also find those videos linked, or you can find those videos on my channel as well. These boots are a touring style, and I really prefer the touring style, and I wear these on either bike. They work very well. They're a more low profile boot, and they have the shifter pad and so on. They're well made. These are also Gore-Tex boots. These are brand new, so I haven't worn these on the bike yet, but I know the design, and the design is tried and true. These ones are made by Gaerne, G-A-E-R-N-E. They are an Italian-made boot. What I like about these is the ease to get them on and off. They have a flap, a Velcro flap that opens up, and then a zipper that zips down the side. All right, and what I like about these is, I don't know if you can see it or not, I'll hold it up. The tab on the end of the zipper pull is actually Velcro, so that when you zip them up, you can take and you can fasten that against the boot, and it stays in place and holds your zipper up so it doesn't ever creep down, and then you fold your flap over. These boots are really good. I like these boots. They're good off bike as well. They give you just the ability to walk. Again, you're not going to hike mountain trails, but going through Buc-ee's, they're going to be all right. Any gas station, any bit you have to walk, if you have to go to the mall or whatever, they're fine for that. I've worn them around the house numerous times to break them in, and they're comfortable for hours on end. Never had a problem with them. So these are some of the boots that I've got. In future videos, we're going to talk about female boots and female riding gear. My wife, Rebecca, is going to join me on the channel, and we're going to talk about some of the issues she has faced trying to find good, comfortable riding gear to fit the female of the species. There are differences. Their shapes are different, and there are a whole lot of different considerations, as I found out as I've walked that road with her trying to find good motorcycle gear. So I hope you'll join us in the future videos for that, when Rebecca is here to help and is going to talk about some of the riding gear that she has purchased and the tough time she has had finding good women's riding gear. I hope you've enjoyed the video today. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you've not subscribed, please do that. That always helps. Please leave a comment. If you could leave a comment about your boots. What do you use? What do you find good? I don't have a corner on the market here. I just tell you what has worked for me, what I've been able to afford, what I've bought. And so leave some comments. Any interaction you have with the channel helps boost the numbers and gets more exposure for the channel. I hope the video has been a blessing to you today. Thank you for joining me, and may God bless you, and have a great day.